Hey, Deck It Out Juniors. Hey, this is your February box, your first box for the year 2020. We're excited to have you. So we're going to work on the wood project right now, or the cactus wood project right now. So you'll have a base, you'll have the two cactus, and then you'll have this board. So what you'll want to do, set your thicker pieces aside and flip over your other square rectangle piece, and you'll pull it off. Now these little in between pieces, we're gonna throw those away. So if they come up on the tape, that's okay, but keep this tape because you're going to use it to hold down your pieces, or the smaller pieces. Okay, the hearts we don't need to keep. However, you totally could. We could paint them up and stick them on the project. So if you want to keep them, that's fine too. But you'll want to keep these larger hearts, okay? Because those are going to go on the large cactus. Okay, so again, you are keeping these hearts. This is your eyes and your mouth. So you're going to want to keep that. Okay. Again, I think it might be fun. So let's keep those smaller hearts if you have them. If you don't want to keep them, that's okay. And this is garbage. So you're going to put that aside, throw that away, however you want to do that. So you'll have the large cactus, and then you'll have the little pot for the other cactus. And I'm going to put all that aside because that's garbage. We're going to paint these items. And I am going to save these. Okay, so put them on your tape. And then start thinking about your colors. And then we're going to dive right in to painting. Okay, so I'm going to paint this cactus, the one that is thinner. I'm going to paint this the darker green. So you're going to dab a little bit, or you're going to load it with paint, unload it, dab it off, and then you can just dab the paint on the entire project, because I'm going to paint him all the same color. I'm going to paint the thicker cactus. I'm going to paint that one the lighter green. So this one, I am just dabbing. You don't have to worry about painting the sides because those are black. Because we cut these on a laser, so they are nice clean edges, so you don't have to worry about painting them unless you want to. But as you'll notice, I'm dabbing paint on my sponge, then dabbing it off, and then dabbing it on my project. So continue this till you have this painted, and then repeat the process with the flower pot. Okay, now that I have these two pieces painted, I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to grab these pieces to paint. This is the base. Your cactus are going to stand in here, or cacti are going to stand in here. So if you want to paint it, you totally can. I'm going to use that same technique. I'm going to dab it in the paint, dab it off, and then dab. You do not want to get paint on the inside slots, because right now these fit snug. So even though you may think, oh, it's not a lot of paint, paint getting in there is going to make that slot smaller, even if it's just a little bit. So then they're going to be even more snug. So just keep that in mind. Don't get any paint in there, or if you do, make sure it's like next to nothing. Okay, dab on the paint, and then we'll get ready for our next project. Okay, I'm going to paint my other cactus here. So the big cactus, I'm going to paint the light green. I'm going to just get some paint on it, and I'm okay to paint, kind of like to smear the paint across, but I'm also going to dab in certain places where I can't pull it off the edge to keep the edge clean. Okay, so you can do probably a mixture of both dabbing and just kind of painting and pulling it off the edge. Okay, so now I'm going to paint this cactus. I dabbed off the paint, and I'm going to just lightly paint it because I still want to see where those hearts are, or the little grooves. I think they're hearts. And so I'm going to just go lightly because I've covered them. So you can take your detail brush and you can try to pull the paint out to give it a little dimension. Or I might come back with my fuchsia and drop it in and make the hearts. So I haven't quite decided, but I'm going to just go really light. And then I think to give it a little bit of a pizzazz, I'm going to do this darker green. Just dab this lightly around the edge, just to give it a little bit of something. Kind of give it a little more dimension too than just the one color. And then for this base, I'm going to use the black. And with my sponge, I'm just going to draw a little line across, pull the paint across. And I'm not going to worry too much about it because I'm going to cover it up with that other piece that I painted, fuchsia. Okay, so I also am a little worried about making it too dark, so I'm just going to do it really light. Yes, I like that. And then that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so I think that's really cute and I like it. And then if you kept the hearts, I kept the hearts. I could paint those different colors. Like if you had white, you could paint it, paint the hearts white and put them back in. Or I could paint them the light green and put them in. If you kept all of these, you could put them back in if you wanted. I'm going to leave it like this though, I think. And then I think I'm going to come back and make those hearts the fuchsia color. So we'll see how that goes. This is all painted. Let's look at this taped piece. Okay, so when we're looking at these pieces, you put it on the tape so that the tape holds it down while you dab the paint. Okay, so you're going to put a little bit of paint on your sponge, dab it off, dab. Now you can come back, because we're doing really thin coats, you can come back as many times as you want to do another coat, another coat, another coat. But for right now, I think I'm just going to do one coat for the black, maybe two for the fuchsia. I'm going to put a little bit of fuchsia down here on her mouth, because there you will see that there's like a little spot for it, like a little sassiness here. Okay, we're going to add that in with the detail brush, let it sit. Now if you have like a white paint at home or a white marker, you could dot the eyes if you wanted. I will probably do that here. And actually I'm going to use my X-Acto knife. So if you have an X-Acto knife, something really tiny, you could do it with. Okay. Oh, I just love this, girls. I hope you are having a great time creating your box this month. I think there's 5 hearts and there's 8 hearts on there. I might just use my X-Acto knife. Now, the reason why I use that is because it's really small, really fine tip. I'm going to see what this looks like. And I'm probably just going to add the pink on here. Yep, I like it. So I'm going to add the pink. Okay, girls, you'll find that I did include the white paint because I just felt like we needed it. So you're going to have white paint in your kit. Paint it up white. I decided I wanted to put white hearts, and so that was the turning point. But now that you have white, you could also fade out this green more if you wanted. Okay, so once your pieces are painted and dry, this is super glue, so it will glue your fingers together. Be careful, girls. Okay, put it on. I don't put it on too crazy because I plan on having this like on my shelf. I'm not carrying this around with me. But if you plan on like doing stuff with it, like taking it places with you, then you probably want to do more glue than I did. Okay, we're gonna just put this on here, and then you'll see right where we're gonna put the eyes. Okay, and then the mouth, and then these really cute hearts are gonna go on right here. So you'll glue those on. And for the mouth and the heart, eyes, I'm just gonna put the glue on where I'm gonna place them. Okay, so start gluing your pieces on, and then we're gonna talk about the I'm stuck on you sign that we have left to paint. Okay, so I'm going to let all of my parts dry right now. And I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to, because it's a stick, I'm going to leave it. Now, you could take a Sharpie. You could take an X-Acto knife. You could not use it at all. But I'm just going to go lightly in here and trace these letters to make them stand out more. But like I said, grab a Sharpie, make sure it's fine tip, and then you can just trace down on these letters. And then we have string in the kit, and then we will just tie the string to the sides and then tuck it behind the large cactus. Okay, juniors, there's your first project. Whoop, stuck on you. And then you'll just place it, once it's dry, of course, place it in your stand. Super, super cute. I probably could have gone up a little bit on this side, but love it. So cute. So let's get on to your next project. Hey, Deck It Out juniors, let's look at your second project. So I would do this project second because you're going to water down your paint that's included in your kit. And so you're going to want to make sure your cactus project was painted beforehand, just so you know how much paint you have remaining. You're going to have a stencil. You'll have canvas. You'll have 2 pieces of wood. And shoot, I forgot to attach the twine, but I will have twine attached to this so that you're going to glue it onto your, we're going to glue it onto the canvas, and then the twine will already be attached. So then you're ready to hang it. We're going to make a really cool, inspirational, be the reason someone feels seen, heard, and supported. So a great message for us with watercolor. So I'm super excited to make this with you today. Let's dive into what we need to do. All right, a couple of things. Your canvas may have the top, how it's like frayed and has dots on it. That didn't bother me because I'm going to take my board and I'm going to put it along the top. So I'm sorry, you can't see, but put it along the top. So that's not going to bother me. This is going to be run the long way, like vertically. Okay. So we're going to start with our stencil. I recommend doing this in black because then no matter what colors you pick for your watercolor, it will stand out. We're going to paint or stencil first, let that dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to watercolor. So let's learn how to stencil. Step 1 with stenciling. Here's your stencil. There's a clear, then there's the blue, and then there's the white. Okay, so what you want to do is flip it over, smooth it out. Okay, you're going to start in one corner and you're going to peel back. I like to peel slowly and at an angle. Okay, now see how this little piece came up? We're going to push it right back down if you can. Now, if you can't, I always like to have an X-Acto knife, or maybe you have a tweezers or a safety pin or a toothpick, and you can kind of just push that little guy right back down. Okay, so you're gonna peel it up. Now I'm working in our studio and it's a little bit chilly in here. And so that's also why some of these aren't sticking, because they don't like to be, stencils don't like to be really cold, because this is like a big sticker. Okay, so Hopefully yours won't pop up as much as mine is, but if it does, just be patient. Keep pushing down those little pieces because this is becoming just a large sticker. Okay, so you can keep this or you can throw it. I like to dab my paint on those sheets. Now, you're going to lay this down and wherever you want. I'm going to try to get it in the middle, but you know what? If you don't get in the middle, you could always trim off the canvas if it bothered you, or you could always adjust the board however you wanted, or leave it because it's yours. It's awesome. Now, I smoothed it out. One thing I forgot to mention before I did this, you could cut this apart and rearrange it in different ways. Your boards are only going to work this way because that's how long we cut them. So you could not really do your canvas horizontally the long way. So you can cut the stencil apart, just leave room, like we left room around the outside. Leave room so that you can still dab the paint and not worry too much. Smooth it out really, really good. Okay, once you've smoothed it out really well, you're going to peel up the clear and you're going to make sure the blue stays down on the canvas. Okay, so again, you're going to peel really slowly, pulling it back little by little. Okay. And if pieces come up, just push those back down. Remember the sticker. Okay, so continue doing this until you peel off all of the clear. Okay, so next up, we are going to take, I'm using black, like I said, so that it doesn't really matter what other colors I use when I watercolor. We're going to take our white sponge. I'm just folding this over so I can use it as a dabber. Load your paint, too much paint, dab it off. Now, this is where it's really important that you do not use a lot of paint because you're working with canvas, okay, which is fabric, and it takes the paint and sucks it. So you don't want it to like absorb all the way underneath those stencil pieces because it'll kind of bleed. So don't use a lot of paint. Don't press really hard, okay? Take your time. This part you'll have to be patient with. Dab gently. Okay, get the coverage you want, but really take your time, girls. Work through this one. Don't use a lot of paint. Don't push too hard, and you will have success. All right, once you are done stenciling with your dabbing, you're going to peel off the blue. Now, one thing happened to me when I was stenciling, which may happen to you, is one of my little O's came off. So what I did is I didn't panic. I know that it happened, so I'm just going to take my a little bit of white, because we got you white paint in your kit from your cactus, and I'm just going to put a little bit of white on there so that my O is still visible, okay? And I'm just going to leave it at that. So I just did a little dab of the white. Now, when you peel this up, my black paint is not dry. That is okay. Just make sure you don't drop it down on there. And then just peel it up. Make sure you hold down your stencil. It's okay if it rips in pieces because we're throwing it away. Okay, so I'm going to peel it up. We're going to throw this away. Continue to peel it up and then weed out your little sections. And I used a stencil that kind of got spliced during cutting. So that's why you see these lines here. But I'm going to be okay with it because we are going to watercolor over it. So just take a little, maybe a toothpick or something. Maybe your fingernails could do this part. Whoops. Should move that out of the way. and get all of the blue stencil off. And then we'll talk about our watercolor step. Super excited for this. Okay, so once your black paint is dry, or whatever color paint you used is dry, you're going to prepare your next paints for the watercolor portion of your project. Okay, so you'll take your paintbrush, you'll want clean water, and then if you want, you can use the containers with whatever paint you have left in them. Or if you have a lot of paint, you might want to move them into another plastic cup or something that you can wash out or throw away after. But you're going to add water, and you're going to water down your paints. You're also going to have one container of just clean water so that you can get your canvas wet. However, what I found is that your canvas needs to be really wet. So I actually am just going to go put this in the sink and get water on this entire canvas. I'm not going to crinkle it up and roll it up. I'm just going to let the water kind of drip down it so that this is wet. And then I'll come back with my water and my paint and mix it up really good. And then we're going to just start painting the watercolor. Now, another thing on your direction sheet, we did say if you want to put down like a plastic tablecloth or parchment paper or something, because we are going to work with water. And so if you are using your craft paper, paper and water aren't super great friends, right? So you might want another barrier between the craft paper and the water that we're going to be using. So we're going to put water in our paints, stir them up really good, and then we're going to get this wet as well. And then we'll come back to get our instruction on how to watercolor. Okay, before we head off to watercolor, you will want to paint with whatever color paint you want to use, using the paints provided. So I know you have green and black and fuchsia and yellow. Paint whatever color you want on the wood pieces, and when you paint them, you'll want to paint the side that will show, of course, and you will want to paint the edges. Okay, you don't have to paint the back because we're gonna adhere that to the canvas. So just take your sponges and just lather that paint on really quick. Give them a nice coat of paint, whatever color you might use, or maybe you're gonna ombre them. Lots of choices, but get these painted up before we talk about how to watercolor. Okay, so I did pour water over this in the sink, and then I did notice that some of it wasn't as wet as I wanted it, because I didn't want to scrunch it up and get it all wrinkly. So I'm just going over it with more water. Remember, you want it really wet. That's also why you want to make sure your black paint is dry. Okay, so get it really wet. And then I put water in my paints. Lots of water in that one, clearly. And I meant to lay down little barrier. So here we go. Okay, so when you're doing this, you're going to mix. I'm not going to put that on there. I'm going to mix my paints. You can kind of see off screen here, or on the side of the screen. Mix it so it's mixed really well. And this is really watery, and that's the way I'm choosing to do it. But you might choose to make it a little bit thicker, but it's really watery. And then I'm just going to put it on just like this. And then I don't really care if I mix them. As you can see, it didn't really mix that much because it's so watered down. But if you have it really more thick paint, you might want to clean your brush between. And make sure you don't get too many globs on here. But then you're just going to go like this. And you're just going to keep working. I don't know if I'm going to add the green. We'll see. You're just going to keep working across. And this is watercolors because the water is taking your paint and spreading it. Now, you can go into your clean water and kind of pull more water in if you want to pull it a little differently. You can totally do that. Some of my yellow isn't totally intermixing. I think because there was a little bit of it dry on the edge. So I'm going to have to pull these little chunks off. So if that happens to you, if your paint dried out a little bit, you'll get a little bit of the chunky yellow. You'll just want to make sure you pull it off when it gets painted on. Okay, so you're just going to keep repeating this process, and then I'm not going to go much further because I'm sorry if you can't see that. My board is going to be up at the top, so I don't need to go much further than that. Okay, that's sitting off to the side to set. And you can just take your colors and go right over the black. Again, this is why I picked black to be my word color, so that I could just paint this. So much fun. I'm excited to see how you mix your colors in. There we go. Had a little bit of a piece there. And I'm going to try the green down here and see if I like it. So mix your colors, use a lot of water, and let's see how we do. Okay, junior DIYers, here we go. I just laid these over the top to see how I liked it, but make sure everything flows the way you want. I really enjoy this process. I hope you found a lot of fun with it. You can always go back and add more water. If you want your yellow or another color to stand out more, just go back and do a second or third coat. To kind of play with it a little bit, but that's what watercolor is. You're just playing with it, moving the water around, making some beautiful art. I'm super excited to see how you guys create this. And then if you want to tone it down a little bit, add more water. Okay, that's the clean water. So this has to dry. This will take a good amount of time, probably some part of a day. And then we'll come back and we will glue these boards on. Okay, so let all your projects dry, and then we'll come back and we'll assemble. Hey, Deck It Out Juniors. Okay, so after your canvas has dried, okay, mine has dried for over a day, so now it's good and dry. You're going to take your two boards. The top board will have the twine on it already, okay, and then the bottom board. So line them up where you want them. I've already placed this one. I'm going to line this one up. I'm going to take my glue. I'm going to run glue down the entire bottom piece here. Kind of just spread it out. Remember, it is super glue, so it will glue your fingers together. Okay. And then you are going to place it at the bottom or wherever you want it on your canvas. Okay, so lay that down really nice. You're gonna let this dry. Now, if you don't like these fringe along the side, because it's canvas, it's going to pull a little bit, just take your scissors and trim up those little flyaways if you'd like. Make sure you give this adequate time to dry. If you have a stapler at home, like a craft stapler, you could also staple on the back if you wanted or if you had. Or, I mean, you could also use some hot glue to help adhere the wood. And then this is going to be your awesome hanging. I'm so excited to see it. This is going to be such a fun project. Okay, so juniors, thank you for joining us for your first box of 2022. You made your super fun cactus stuck on you shelf sitter decor item. Think of all the places it could go. And then we made this awesome watercolor canvas hanging. Be the reason someone feels seen, heard, and supported. Such a great message for us. Keep crafting. Jump into our Facebook group. And show us what you created this month. Deck It Out Juniors. We would love to hear from you.